Whether it's a co-op experience that even your non-gaming grandparents can get on board with, or a multiplayer adventure to help you and your friends feel closer than ever, we've got the perfect co-op games to help you feel connected this festive season. The holidays might be looking a little different for a lot of us this year, but that's no reason not to make the most of the festive season. One of the many reasons we love games is how great they are at bringing people together. And wherever or whoever you are, there's something for you. So, whether you want a new adventure to dive into with a friend, or a game to get the whole family laughing, we have something that'll help make you feel close, even if you're miles apart. And in case you were wondering, all we really want for Christmas is for you to hit the subscribe button. And if you think we've been really good this year, perhaps even give the notification bell a ring so you never miss another video. Without further ado, here are the best co-op games to play with friends and family. Each and every one of the Jackbox party packs are excellent couch co-op fun that, with a little bit of extra legwork, can be played remotely. Just gather your friends on a Zoom call or Google Hangout and share your screen so that everyone that joins with the code can take part in the many hilarious minigames Jackbox has to offer. There's also plenty of space for extra guests to spectate the games and vote on their favourite answers. There are currently 7 party packs to choose from, but our personal favourites are number 3, which includes Faking It, a game of lying and deception, and the classic Quiplash, which will leave you with in-jokes aplenty, and 4, which has the ever-hilarious Fibbage. Oh, but then 6 has the stand-up comedy game Joke Boat, and 5 lets you write robot raps. Ugh, they're all great. They can be made family-friendly and are full of easy-to-grasp games with their own lovely little explainers before each one. It's perfect not only for bringing people together, but for creating new memories whilst you're there.
I'm just glad that we all got to share this moment.
The beauty of Gang Beasts is that you don't really need to understand what all the buttons do in order to have a great time. In fact, sometimes it's better if you don't. In Gang Beasts, you and up to 7 others get to dress up your little gelatinous bodies and proceed to brawl your way through the many maps in Beef City. No, you heard correctly. Beef City. You'll have to throw your strange invertebrate bodies around in order to come out on top. Or you could team up and take on waves of enemies. Whatever mode you opt for is guaranteed to have you crying with laughter as you attempt to throw your loved ones out of a boxing ring, off the side of a train, or into whatever this is. Nothing says festive spirit like murdering your loved ones, then looking them straight in the virtual eyes and lying about it. Plus, aside from the inevitable arguments that'll ensue when you boldly call your Aunt Patricia a liar, only to find out your cousin was actually the imposter, we'd be hard-pressed to find a more perfect co-op game than Among Us. The basic concept of trying to find the imposter while completing tasks on your spaceship or station is one that everyone can get on board with. And as each player gets better acquainted with the concept, the underhand tactics will start to emerge. It's also playable across PC and mobile for any family or friends that don't have access to a computer. And private matches can be hosted for up to 10 people, so there's plenty of room for everyone to get involved in some lovely festive murdering. Stardew Valley is perfect if you're after a game you can all really disappear into, as Stardew is less 10 minutes of slapstick fun and more of a project for you and your friends to tackle together. In Stardew's multiplayer, up to 4 of you can take on ownership of the farm, although only the host gets to live in the fancy main house, with the rest of your farming family getting little houses on the land. Perhaps you'll all share your farming duties equally. Or perhaps you'll be left watering all of the many crops yourself. while your friends disappear into town to schmooze the locals. Maybe you'll each focus your efforts on a specific skill to really make the most of all the different aspects of the game. Or perhaps you'll be an expert fisherman, forager, and farmhand, while your friends go off gallivanting on dates with every romanceable character. There's plenty of room to make the game your own, and it's wonderfully accessible to both gamers and non-gamers alike. Just make sure you aren't all trying to romance the same character, because that will not end well. Hey, Harvey. He sees you when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake. I'm talking, of course, about this truly horrible Goose. If you fancy having a honking good time, then why not team up with a friend and run amok as a pair of dastardly geese, ticking off a checklist that involves littering, breaking and entering, and theft. You know, goose things. Unfortunately, Untitled Goose Game is local multiplayer only, but as it's only 2-player, hopefully you'll be able to find a friend to recruit as your avian partner in crime, so the two of you can wreak havoc on the poor, unsuspecting inhabitants of this quaint English village. It's another great game to play with a pal regardless of their skill level, as it's more a game about puzzle solving than quick-time events or accuracy. And if you needed any more convincing, there's a dedicated honk button for gooseness sake. Parents of younger children, tell them TowerFall Ascension came out in the early 90s and tee them up for a lifetime of disappointment as they slowly realize your cruel lie. Or better still, just load it up and observe their lithe young minds take exactly 0.3 rounds of jumping and arrow shooting to surpass your own skill. Because although you can describe what you actually do here pretty succinctly, you run and jump about these adorable levels collecting weapons and trying to kill each other with arrows or well-timed jump to the head, there are just so many ways to go about it that you find yourself walking away from a session thinking about all the things you'll try next time. Why didn't I dodge that arrow in mid-air and then land on top of whoever fired it? And hang on, you can drop down to get to the top of the map quicker than jumping upwards on each platform. Right, it's no good. I'm going back in. Move on to the next one on this list.
I see the signs and omens. As the tide rises, we must unite to save TowerFall.
Let's be totally honest here. Vermintide 2 isn't the kind of game you're going to play with family members who don't game much. It's a grimdark jamboree of rat slaughter, and as such, Uncle Nigel might not be into it. Anyone with the slightest fondness for Left 4 Dead, the Warhammer tabletop game, loot boxes, and the use of the pejorative wazzock, however, is in heaven. Like the very best co-op propositions, it's a deceptively simple setup. You and up to 3 mates fighting walls of rats. A tide of vermin, if you will. And at first, it seems as though slapping rodents is the sole interaction in the game. Over time though, you come to realize it's the least important thing you do in a mission. Below avoiding damage, using abilities, healing, using potions, finding tomes and grimoires that boost your reward loot, dodging, staggering, countering, and giving people grief who've wandered off miles away on their own. In fact, no, come on Uncle Nigel, put down that copy of Auto Express and hold this sword. We're going in.
Sneak rats in the shadows.
Phasmophobia, Latin, noun, a crippling fear of phasma. Hang on, that's not right, is it? Ah, yes, it's also a co-op game about hunting ghosts. That makes a lot more sense. The secret sauce here is in how procedural, even pedestrian, the hunting of ghosts is. So much of the setup is deliciously low-key, like popping a digital camera on a toilet lid or wandering around with a UV torch. And this being a co-op game, you often feel pretty safe in the company of mates while you're at it. The setup phase can even feel a bit mundane, and this is all part of Phasmophobia's plan. Because when ghosts do make themselves known, that supernatural activity feels all the more shocking because it's been preceded by 5 to 10 minutes of utterly normal house exploration. What's What's more, ghost activity is actually pretty rare, much less clearly seeing one, so you absolutely brick it when it does. And gosh, we've not even mentioned what a masterstroke it is that the ghosts often respond by name. What other game could persuade you and 3 chums to cram into a kid's bedroom together saying, Kevin Williams, Kevin Williams? If you've ever worked in a commercial kitchen, you know it's more or less as stressful as trying to buy a house while working back-to-back air traffic control shifts. Overcooked 2 might be big on primary colours and big eyes, but play it in co-op and it somehow achieves the remarkable feat of being even more frantic than the real thing. To be fair to the real chef's kitchens, you're often given more than 30 seconds to cook a pizza, and it's rare for your colleagues to actually throw the ingredients at you. It's rarer still that you're asked to prepare food on a busy road or near a dangerous chasm. So I suppose when you think about it like that, Overcooked 2 would get the blood pumping a bit more. Like Monopoly or marriage, the real fun here comes in the bickering. Because although you all start each level with clearly defined roles and the best intentions, there's always something to throw you off kilter. Who's washing dishes, guys? Service! I'm low on lettuce. Guys, the dishes! Look, that's going to boil over if you don't. Oh, for crying out loud, who's on dishes? Deep Rock Galactic got in there and arrived on PC before I could release my prog rock album of the same name. And while I can never totally forgive it for that, what a brilliant spin on the traditional Left 4 Dead style first-person co-op it is. There are waves of enemies to be contended with periodically here, but first and foremost, this is about being a miner in deep space. The toothy monsters are really just an inconvenience to the matter at hand, which is 4 taciturn dwarves using their different class abilities to glean valuable minerals and ores from the rock, and the interaction of those abilities gives it that eponymous depth.
Contact! Swarm approaching the drill dozer. Hunker down and load up.
This might be a good one to try with friends or family who aren't adverse to shooting games, but aren't necessarily drawn to them either. You can happily entertain yourself building platforms and lifts for other players, and just sending a turret up when the horde appears. Or really devote yourself to the task of lighting the dark caverns for everyone and making sure you all know the route back out again once the job's done. Because that dropship isn't waiting around for you. Once the payload's on board, you'd better be with it, or its so long brilliant spaceship where you and your mates live. Hello, game over screen.
The mule is secured. Initiating launch sequence. Deep Rock Galactic thanks you for your good work. Drop pod will leave with or without you.
So those are 10 co-op games for you to play with your friends and family. Let us know which game you'll be playing in the comments below. If you enjoyed, please do give it a like and subscribe to Logitech G for plenty more videos. If you've already subscribed, make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video.